District Council committees. This channel has been set up to make sure that anyone can observe our democratic meetings. Please therefore remember that this meeting could be watched anywhere at any time by anyone with access to the internet. There is a delay between the meeting and the broadcast of about 30 seconds. Webcasting officer, please can you commence the broadcast and confirm? Thank you.
I can confirm it's started.
Thank you very much. Good evening and welcome to this meeting of the Performance Management Board. Before we commence the meeting, I can confirm that the Council has adopted some basic etiquette rules for its remote meetings, and these are as follows. Please only speak when the Chairman invites you to do so. Members, please let the Chairman know that you wish to speak through the chat function. The Chairman will introduce speakers in order that the requests are made unless there is a point of order by which the Chairman will give way. Please minimise all distractions while you are in the meeting. Members are asked to mute their microphones when not speaking and to consider turning off their video to reduce any interference on the audio feed. Please bear in mind that there may be a lag between speaking and other attendees hearing you, so please bear this in mind when you make long speeches or wish to interrupt. All documents have been circulated to members in advance of this meeting, and if you wish to raise an issue in the reports, please indicate via the chat function if there is a concern or a point of order you wish to make. There is no confidential items for this agenda, but if we do need to move into private session for any reason, members are responsible to ensure that their venue and connection is private. If you lose connection at any point or are unable to rejoin the meeting immediately, please call the meeting facilitator and you have been provided with my details. Please only use the chat function for the purpose prescribed for requesting to speak or for making a point of order. The chat function is subject to the access to information regimes of Freedom of Information and EIR, but is also subject to data protection, rules of defamation and the Council's Code of Conduct. For this meeting, councillors are identified by a prefix of councillor before their name, and officers have the prefix of officer. There is a minute taker for this meeting and 2 meeting facilitators. I can confirm that this meeting is quorate of all the members who are required to attend. For the viewing public, I can confirm that the Performance Management Board consists of the following members. Councillor Nick Unsworth, Chairman, Councillor Peter Swear, Vice Chairman, Councillor Coldridge, Councillor Courtauld, Councillor Dervish, Councillor Everard, Councillor Radley and Councillor Rose. For this evening meeting, we have officers in attendance. These are Tracy Hedford, Business Solutions Manager, Chris Fleetham, Corporate Director, Jessica Mann, the Governance Officer, myself, Emma Wisby and Kim Cole, and we are the meeting facilitators. I will now hand over to the Chairman, Mr. Councillor Nick Unsworth, for this meeting. Thank you, Councillor.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this meeting of the Performance Management Board. This is a virtual meeting of this committee. My name is Councillor Nick Unsworth and I will be chairing this meeting. As you know, the Council is new to virtual meetings, so I would ask everyone to be patient and understanding as we feel our way through this new way of working. I'm being assisted by the governance officers and a meeting facilitator, who will help me identify when people want to speak. And they will also help manage notifications and the chat function. I obviously can't see all of you, but please let officers or me know using the chat function if there are any issues with your internet connection. Please remember to mute your microphone when you have finished speaking. Members, for this meeting, I will seek your agreement on various issues. Silence will be taken as assent. As the meeting facilitator has confirmed the attendance of members and officers for this meeting, I shall now move to the business of the meeting. Do we have any apologies for absence? Sorry.
Thank you, Chairman. Chairman, we have apologies from Councillor Renman. There's no other members of this committee required to give apologies. Thank you.
Okay, if there are no more other apologies, I'll move on to items 2, declarations of interests. Do members have any declarations of interest, pecuniary interest, non-pecuniary interest that they may wish to declare this evening? Please state the item and the nature of your interest. Please indicate if you wish to speak using the chat function. Thank you, members. This, whoops, I've gone one too far on my script. Thank you, members. Your silence agreement and a minute. Do apologise.
Chairman, just to assist you, there are no declarations for this meeting. Could I invite you to attend to public question time, please?
Yep, thank you very much. So I will now move to public question time. Members, there are no registered speakers for this evening's public question, so I'll proceed to item 4, minutes of the previous meeting held on the 29th of January 2020, actually in real time rather than virtually. Previous minutes. Members, for this item, I'll be seeking your agreement, therefore silence will be assent. However, if a member wishes to raise an issue in respect of the minutes, please indicate via the chat function. Do any members have any objections to the approval of the minutes as an accurate record of the meeting held on the 29th of January 2020? Can you confirm there's nothing on the chat function, please, Emma?
Chairman, there's no request on the chat function, therefore you may take the assent as agreement.
Thank you, members. Your silence is agreement. The members are inaccurate of the record. Thank you, and we will proceed to item 5, the third quarter performance management report. The third quarter management report is set out on pages 4 to 37 of the agenda. For those watching on YouTube, this is a retrospective look at the performance between January 2020 and March 2020. So just before the coronavirus struck. I suspect the implications of the coronavirus will be evident in the next Performance Management Board. Members, the report has also been supplemented at my request with a summary of Q2 and Q3, so any changes can be clearly and easily identified. And I encourage you to ask questions. Please can I invite Tracy Hedford, Business Solution Manager, to set out the report.
Thank you, Chairman. Can everyone hear me okay? I'll take it, yep.
Yes, no problem.
Good evening, everyone. You've actually got 2 documents from me. The first is the third quarter performance report that was presented to Cabinet back in March. And the second is a comparison document, so you can clearly see the progress of the projects from the second quarter to the third quarter and any change in status. One thing I do need to mention, obviously, the chair said that the performance was in relation to January to March. It's actually in relation to October to December 2019. So the third quarter reports up to the end of December 2019. I know that seems a long while ago, and I appreciate that you may be aware of updates for any of the projects since then, but they will be reflected in later reports that do get presented to you and do go to Cabinet. So we just need to be mindful that we are looking at the performance of the Council up until the end of December. Therefore, so in the third quarter, there have been 2 further projects completed, bringing the total up to the end of December to 8 projects completed, with a further 45 projects ongoing. Of these projects, 3 have gone through change control processes, as the original end date, which was in the third quarter, has not been met. So by going through that change control process, it brings that project back onto track. Details of the change controls are in the reports, and I've added a bit further detail as to why the change was processed in the comparison document that you have. Turning to the performance indicators, 11 have achieved or exceeded their target. 3 have missed target by less than 5% and 1 by more than 5%. The 3 missing target by less than 5% in respect of the percentage of stage 1 complaints completed within timescale, and the collection rates for council tax and business rates. I will say at this point that all of those 3 indicators actually missed their targets by less than 1%, which is a really good achievement. And in respect of the complaints, it has been the first time in quite a while that we have actually missed that target, which does just sort of prove that it is a stretching and challenging target for some of the services, especially where the complaints are quite lengthy and complex. All of the complaints are acknowledged, and I do actually monitor the complaints on a monthly basis to look for improvements to the services and processes. There is a section within the performance report later regarding complaints, which does address the underperformance as well. The 2 other amber performance indicators, as I said, in relation to the collection rates for council tax and business rates. With shortfalls for these collections, they will continue to be collected, so we do anticipate that the target will be achieved. Lastly, the performance indicator that has missed target by more than 5% is in relation to our recycling rates, due to the council adopting the Essex Waste Partnership target, which is a very ambitious target. The outturn for the third quarter is usually lower than previous quarters due to the waste suspension being introduced for the garden waste. The report also includes areas on complaints, as I said earlier. And another thing to note here is that actually we have had a reduction in the number of complaints that the council is receiving compared to previous years, which is also reflected in the low number of complaints being escalated to the next stages of the process and indeed to the ICO. The majority of the complaints are still in respect of our waste, but there have been an increase in the planning complaints. There is further information in the report on the organisation, which reports on the sickness, which was slightly up in the third quarter. We did move to an electronic reporting process, and when we looked into this, the higher levels of sickness, it was actually found that not all sickness records had actually been closed down when an officer had returned to work. So managers were reminded of this, and it's now being closely monitored. The health and safety aspect in the report, again, there's not really much to mention here, but the time lost due to accident and incidents does remain low, which is really good. Turning to the finance section, again, this provides the position as at the end of December, which shows a positive variance projected for the year of 530,000 against the budget, a net projected underspend of 127,000, and a projection to overachieve the income by 410,000. There were variances identified in the third quarter report that have been reflected in the council budget proposals, which were presented at the last meeting in January, and obviously subsequently now in process. But overall, the council has performed well in the third quarter of the year, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Tracy. Do members wish to speak to this item? And please indicate via the chat function. I can't see any at the moment. There must be some questions on it. No? Councillor Radley.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've got a couple of questions, really. The first one of those is from page 23 of the report. It is what I consider to be a good thing, really, that in the quarter 3, the number of learning hours, which I assume is training, has increased by something like 50% compared with the 2 previous quarters, which is good. I just wanted to understand if there's anything specific that's driving that increase. And my second question relates to page 24, which is regarding health and safety. In the report, there's 2 comments on there about issues and consistently around the waste handling operatives. I'm wondering if there's if this is any actions are being taken to try to prevent any of this happening in the future. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Radley. Can I pass that over to Tracy?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, in respect of your first query, Councillor Radley, the learning hours did increase in the third quarter. That is largely degree to taking on new apprenticeships and the apprentices that we had in the previous cohort finishing their apprenticeships as well. So there will be quite a bit of training in respect of that. They would have undergone the new, being a new person within the council. So there's obviously the compulsory elements of the training that everybody has to go under as a new starter. So that would have been one of the reasons why there has been an increase in the number of learning hours. I would have to look into to see what type of other learning was actually applied at that during the third quarter, but we do have ongoing learning throughout the year, whether it be online, whether it be through meetings taking place. There is quite a lot of learning that does go on throughout the year, but I think the majority of that figure is in relation to the new apprenticeships that we had coming in that time. In respect of the second question that you had, that was a bit around the actions taken to prevent any sort of further accidents around the waste operatives. The waste teams or the managers do always monitor any accidents that happen. They are provided with safety equipment. They are provided with training and, to try and prevent any accidents happening. Majority are normally due to slips and trips. And again, that is something very hard to control because of the weather conditions. But they do monitor them, and they do give staff training and make sure they are aware of anything that may sort of prevent them from having any accidents in the future.
Thank you, Councillor Rose.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. There's two questions really, Tracy. The first one is at the 29th of January Performance Management Board, members were informed that a review of the council's asset rental returns were to be reviewed. Has this now been completed? And the second question is on economic development. The council is committed to a delivery of high quality business premises, including grow-on units. A suitable site has been identified and will be acquired at nil capital cost to the public purse at Whittam. The site is due to transfer in 2020, although the target date on the economic development it says July 21. Are you able to tell us who currently owns the site that's going to be transferred, please? Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Tracy, can you answer that, or is that one for Mr. Fleetman, Chris Fleetman?
I can answer the first part, but I might have to pass the second part on to Chris Fleetham. In respect of the asset rental returns being reviewed, that is currently ongoing by the asset management team. So, yeah, nothing further on that at the moment. Chris, are you happy to answer regarding the grow-on units at Whittam?
I would be more than happy to answer if I knew the answer. Unfortunately, I don't. But I can find out and let members know who actually owns that. I'm not aware. It's not my area as such, but I'm happy to find out for you and respond to all members.
Thank you. And that, I think also the question was including the transfer date and when it would come over, wasn't it, Chris?
Yes, no problem. I'll pick all that up and get back to you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Swear, sorry, I missed you on the chat function. You were next.
It's okay, thank you, Chair. Could I just ask Tracy, with regards to environment and place, it was interesting to read in the report about the 92 fixed penalty notices for dog fouling and the 41 for fly tipping. Is that a trend that is increasing, or is that because we have more operatives out there in the field? I mean, I'd just like a little bit more background on that to benchmark it, really. Because I have to say, I know that operations do an extremely good job of clearing up the fly tipping, and I've had incidents across my ward anyway. But I think the dog fouling incidents is quite interesting. And my other question is really, the Keep Britain Tidy campaign that has been going on for some time, have we managed to have any prosecutions as a result of that campaign? Has the situation improved? Again, if you've got an update on that, I'd appreciate it.
Thank you, Tracy. Can I pass that to you?
Yes, you can. In respect to the fixed penalty notices, yes, the team do a fantastic job around that for the fly tipping and the dog fouling. I would have to look into, the trends around that, and I have got that information because we do record all of that. So if you're happy, I will provide that to members with all the minutes of the meeting. With regards to the Keep Britain campaign, I don't know the answer to that one. Again, I would have to ask whether or not we've got that, but that has been a campaign that has been monitored by Keep Britain Tidy. So I will ask the marketing team who have been dealing with this to see if they do have any results. As it stands, I don't think we have at the moment. I think we're still waiting for them, and there might be some difficulty getting them at the moment because of furloughing and resources being directed elsewhere. But I will certainly see if there's anything that we can report out on, and I can report back to the board.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do any other councillors have any other questions on this report? Councillor Everard, I can see you there.
Microphone. Okay. On the investments, I wondered how much that the coronavirus has affected things, both short term, the quick money, and the long term. Thank you.
Chris, is that one for you? I think it's probably not covered by this report because it's retrospective, is it?
No, it's not covered by this report, and obviously there has been an impact, but it varies from day to day. So again, that will be picked up in the next quarter's report, I would have thought. I think it's too early to say how much the impact has been. Say, as of end of March, there was quite a significant impact on our investments, but in fact, the situation has rallied quite a lot since then. Obviously, something we're keeping an eye on, and we'll report to members in the next quarter.
Thank you very much. I've got Councillor Coleridge.
Thank you, Chairman. My questions relates to page 27, and under finance, I note the insurance premiums have gone up 21,000 last year. Can I ask how the insurance placement is procured, and if there's a particular reason why it's gone up so much?
I'll pass that over to Tracy or to Chris.
I'll try and answer it unless Tracy's got any specific information. Obviously, when we go out to look at renewing our insurance, we do go out to a full procurement situation, look at the various options. The generally insurance has increased since, I think, that I'm not 100% sure, but I think we potentially had a 5-year contract. So things have changed quite significantly over that time. And also, you would expect the premium to be based on previous claims records, which I don't think have been particularly bad. But if members want further information, I can get the audit insurance manager to break down that for you if you want. I doubt Tracy knows anymore, but if you do, Tracy, feel free to update.
I haven't anything to add to that. I don't know anything further. I'd have to speak to Angie Mitchell too. So,
Councillor Carrard, do you want a response to that after the meeting, a written response?
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you. I'm only interested because I work in the insurance industry, so just interested to see how it's how the procurement is conducted. Thank you.
Sorry, Councillor Unsworth, your microphone was off at that stage. We
do apologise. Sorry, I saw the chat zipping past me. Councillor Coulthard, did I see you had a question, or have I misread it?
Chairman, you've already dealt with that question.
Okay.
You misread it. It wasn't me.
Thank you. Thank you. Do we have any other questions on this? I've got another one for Councillor Rose again.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Yes, it says following on from Councillor Swear's question. On page 11, Environment and Place, they highlight about fines or increased fines that for people throwing litter from their cars. Are we able to be informed of how is that found? Is it officers, i.e. someone from operations seeing it, or is it the public that report it in with registration numbers and what have you? Thank you.
Councillor Tracy, that one for you?
Yes, I can answer that one, Councillor. It's both really. So if any of our operatives are out and about and they see anybody throwing litter from their cars, they report it in. But it is also available to the public to report it online and to also call into our customer service centre. And again, yes, it's time, details like the time the offence took place, details of the car, and anything else they are able to provide at that time.
Okay, thank you. I think also there's there is also something where one of the vendors will provide details if there's a receipt in the bag as well, isn't there?
Yes, that is for any rubbish that we may find on the verges. If it's, for example, from a fast food restaurant, if there is a receipt in there, some of the fast food restaurants will put part of the registration onto the receipt. And if it's found within the contents on the side of the roads, they'll be able to go to that fast food outlet and get the information from them, and we will be able to proceed from there.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Swear, are you up again?
I am up again, Chair. Thank you for that. Chair, I'd just like to ask Tracy about the potential government guidance guidelines coming in for the plastic packaging tax and the potential for the deposit return scheme. Obviously, this is coming from central government, and I just wondered whether we've got any further information and updates on that, because obviously that is vital for all that we do for environmental and place across the whole district. Or is that being delayed due to the coronavirus and the workload from the Houses of Parliament? Thank you.
Tracy or Chris, I think, on that one, isn't it?
I can take that one. The consultation on the plastic packaging tax hasn't been delayed. That came in March, actually. And obviously what that's doing is seeking their views on the design of the tax and how it will work and how it will be implemented. I think the closing date for that consultation was in May. And obviously we will have submitted comments accordingly in respect of that, and that will probably be in a future update on a future report that will come out. So there will be some information, I would imagine, in the fourth quarter report, but obviously further information in other reports as well.
And I think the second part was on any deposit return scheme that was being proposed.
Yeah, the deposit return scheme. Let me just have a look. Yeah, we haven't actually, by the looks, we haven't heard anything around that one as yet, unless that was tied into that one. But I haven't been advised of that, so I would have to find that one out for you to see whether or not that has been delayed or whether or not we have dealt with that one. But the information I have been given so far is that there isn't anything on the deposit scheme at the moment.
Okay, thank you. I think there's likely to be quite an impact on some of the businesses, because it's the businesses that actually seem to bear the brunt of it, because they've got to take the deposit back from wherever they get the bottles or glass. So I think there's something that we should keep an eye on, to be quite honest. Do any other members have any other questions on this part of the agenda? Nope. Okay, so members, this report is for noting only. I will take silence as agreement that this report has been noted. Thank you, members. The report is noted, and we'll now proceed to item number 6, the decision planner. Let's move that one on. So members are asked to consider the decision planner for the period 1st of June to the 31st of October 2020. Do members have anything they wish to raise? Please indicate with the chat function. So this is going along quite quickly. Councillor Swear, have you got something on this one, or was that the last question? I can see this blinking in front of me, but it's not necessarily moving up.
That was the last question, Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Do no other members have any questions on this particular item? I've got one question I'd like to ask. I mean, clearly the decision that's coming up on regard to the local community, the local plan, is not featured in this whatsoever. We knew this decision would be coming up. Could I ask for a response from officers as to why a decision that is inevitably going to come up in this quarter is not showing in this decision tracker?
I can answer that, Councillor Unsworth. We're just currently trying to confirm what date that's going to be coming in July. As soon as we've got a date fixed, we will be putting it on the decision planner and circulating that round.
So there'll be an update to it, will there?
There will be, yes.
Okay. I mean, from my perspective, the letter came in May, and we knew we had something coming on, and we knew there was a consultation out there. So I would have expected to see some sort of notation on this.
We've been waiting for the modifications to come through. And we weren't too sure on the timescales for that and whether we would be able to get it in on July. But as soon as that's all been clarified and the timelines known, we will be issuing an update. And I'll work with Emma around that for you.
Yeah, I mean, I still, from my perspective, I think we knew we had to make a decision on it in this quarter. And I still think that it would have been prudent to have something on there that's initially made by Cabinet and then full council. I think it would be prudent to have that on there, even if there's an update to come.
Okay.
Thank you.
Take that away.
Chairman, sorry, if I just may add to that, I'm actually the responsible officer for the decision planner, so we tend to avoid putting items on the decision planner when we don't have a date for it, because it's the purpose is to give advance notice of when we're likely to hold it. But as Kim says, we do reissue the decision planner where we need to. They're normally prepared on a monthly basis, and we normally have about a 10-day lead in before our publication date to finalise it. So I believe in this respect we were not in a position to add to it, but as Kim said, we will recirculate the decision planner when dates have been fixed, and that will go to all members of the authority, not just the members of PMB.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, members. Can I ask that we note the decision planner, and I will take silence as agreement. No other questions on it? Thank you, members. The decision planner is noted. Members, we've concluded our business for this evening, and therefore there is no urgent business, so I will close the meeting of the performance management at 19:44. Thank you, members, for your attendance this evening, and those watching the broadcast via the Council's YouTube channel. I will now hand over to the meeting facilitator. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Before I ask the webcast to terminate the broadcast, I would urge all members to complete the short survey, which we'll be emailing to you later. Well, it'll be tomorrow now. This survey is very important to us because it helps us to continue to make improvements to these meetings and our arrangements. Please can I also remind you that the Council will retain performance data relating to your connections to this meeting. This is kept to deal with any legal challenge we have to the holding of these meetings. Thank you very much for bearing with us this evening and for attending the meeting. Good night, and please can the webcaster terminate the broadcast on YouTube and